Welcome to Crowdin Power Up, where we dive into the most exciting and innovative features on the Crowdin platform. Good morning from Texas, Dorota. You're in sunny Morocco as we speak, and welcome to the Crowdin Power Up, where we are exploring some of the most exciting and innovative features on the Crowdin platform. This is a new series. Why don't you tell people what we had in mind with this particular series?
Sure. So Crowdin releases so many new features every month. So we thought it's a good idea to explore what's new and what's powerful. And most importantly, we want to show translators and project managers or localization teams how can they use these features in their projects.
Yeah, we want to go beyond the shiny buttons, so to speak, and show people the real tools that can help them translators translate faster and smarter and more in tune with how content actually works in today's world. What's your goal with the series, Dorota?
It's very simple. We want to show what's possible. We want to lower the barrier and get our audience experimenting. And if you have any input, is always welcome because together with your feedback, we can make the platform better.
Dorota, before we jump into the demo this morning, can you give us a quick overview of how Crowdin's AI tools have evolved over the last couple of years?
Sure. So first we had the first phase, which was just a basic ChatGPT plugin with it was like with AI editor, so you could talk to your assistant, ask, for example, to rephrase your translation or to make it shorter. Then we had the second phase when you had native large language model integration. You could choose from different providers. For example, you could write prompts or customize your prompts for AI pre-translation or AI proofreading or AI-based QA. It meant more control and more advanced options to choose from. And now we have the third phase, so things are getting more serious. We have Agentic AI that enables reasoning, planning, and context-aware decisions. And of course, it's always guided by experts, for example, linguists.
Yeah. And what are some of the key differences in this latest generations of tools, would you say?
So AI doesn't only translate, but it also can adjust and validate your content. It can work across all segments, so not just on one string, on one sentence, but across the whole file or whole project. And it can also make contextual decisions. So it's a whole new level of interaction with AI.
Right. Translators are going to get an assistant, more or less, much more than something that can do a task for them. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, yes, of course, yes.
All right, let's take a look at that looks like inside the Crowdin platform, Dorota. I believe you want us to start with how to add context for more accurate translations. Is that correct?
Yes, I want to start with context because I believe it's the most important item in your project. So whether or not you work with AI, you always need the context, either for your translators or for AI. So before we had this agentic AI feature in Crowdin, you could add context on 3 levels. So I will open one project to show it to you. So before we jump into the new feature, which is Agentic AI, I want to quickly show you how you can add more context to your projects in Crowdin. So the first level is a project level. You can do it under settings, project settings. There's this description. You can add your context. For example, here I have target audience and I have some ideas, examples on how I want my app to be translated. Another layer is on the file level. So if you go to files, you click settings, you go to the context section, and I can have here my context. I can explain everything. For example, I can show how to translate some strings that are in the app. I can also include information about the tone or style, and I can mention my target audience. Again, because there could be many files in the project and not every file is the same, obviously. So we may need to add extra information for every file in our project. So in Crowdin, that's possible. And this information will be valuable both for translators and for AI. So if you translate with AI, it will go look into these files for context. And finally, the third level is on the strings level. So if you go to sources, strings, you can hit edit on the string, and you can provide more context on the string level as well. For example, this could be a welcome message. So in this way, context will help translators and AI understand your content and make the right decisions, so your translation can be more accurate. Now, if you use Agentic AI in Crowdin, which is the feature we will explore today, you can also add context, so to say, on the fly. So why do you translate? When you're interacting with AI, you can give information about your target audience, for example, or you can provide more information about style or tone. It's like another layer of providing context, and then you don't necessarily have to provide the context on these three files I've just mentioned. So you don't have to go into strings and file and project context. You can provide it all while interacting with Agentic AI. So let's see how it works. We have a project here, which is a marketing copy. It's a marketing website. It is already translated, but the problem here is that the translation is too formal. I could go ahead and change the formal tone into informal manually. So this is well, one example of the formal style. So this word Państwo is the same as Sie in German or usted in Spanish. Changing the tone is much more than replacing pronouns, obviously. So I can't just go find and replace the pronouns from formal you to informal you. I have to rewrite the whole text. I have to use different verb forms, or I have to use different phrases. I can do it manually, but if I don't have time, if I want to speed it up a bit, I can call Agentic AI, which is that purple icon here. And I can ask it to translate, well, not translate, I can ask it to update the translation for me, and that's exactly what I will do now. I will type here my prompt. So I want to change the tone from formal to informal in all segments. So now the agent will look into all segments. It will take some time to think. It will look into translation memory matches as well. And it will
When
show
you say
me...
when you say insert my prompt, that's actually just a piece of regular communication text that you
of
have
course, yes.
designed. There's
Yes.
no coding
Yes.
involved with
No,
this, right?
No, I only said, can you please change the style, the tone in all strings from formal to informal. That's it. And then it gives me some suggestions. I can have a look at them. So I can see it looks good. It is indeed informal. If I'm happy with it, I can run the tool, and now it will go ahead and update all strings in the editor. So now everything will change here. And now we have the informal tone in our editor. I can, as a linguist, I can go ahead and verify the strings and check if they make sense. Oh, well, so far everything looks good. I have only one preferential change that I want to implement here. I want my text to be gender neutral. So I will ask AI to do that for me. I want it to rewrite the translations and make sure it's gender neutral. Now again, it's looking at this specific string first. The suggestion looks okay. I will implement it. It is gender neutral indeed. So now I would like to have the same change in all strings. So let's type this command again. Now I want
this is a software project that you're demoing, and it has software strings. Is that correct? Am I seeing that?
Well, this is a mobile. No, this is a website. This is just a website copy with very simple text in it. And now I'm asking AI to verify all sentences, all text, and make suggestions for gender neutral language. Again, it looks gender neutral, so I will run the tool to implement these changes. And now the text will change again in the editor. So you can see also a little sum up here at the end. AI is telling me all these changes it implemented. And it explains what it did and why. So here are some examples, some strings that were changed. Now it looks good. I can still, if I want to, I can change the sentences, the translation to match my stylistic preferences, for example. But so far, AI is listening to us and gives us what we want. Now, finally, I want to add more context. So that's another layer of context I mentioned earlier. So I've told you that, you can add context here when you interact with Agentic AI. I had a screenshot here, so you can either reference file, like files with text. For example, it could be a translation that was previously created for the same brand, and you want to make sure it's the same style, that the style is consistent, or it could be a screenshot. So I will add a screenshot here. The screenshot has several strings from the product for the same brand. So I want to make sure that my translation that I have here in the editor is consistent with the strings that are included in the screenshot. So now AI will...
It went so lightning fast. I think maybe before we end this particular segment, you can kind of repeat what the three levels of context input were, because I'm having trouble keeping them apart. That's how fast you went
Okay.
in this particular segment.
Sure. So we mentioned earlier that the three levels before Agentic AI of showing the context, both the translators and AI, was on the project level, file level, and string level. Now with Agentic AI, you don't have to do it, right? It's well, you can, but you don't have to. You can add your context here in the chat box. So it went ahead, it looked at the screenshot, and it's telling me what will we do, what will it do? So it asks me whether I want a detailed line-by-line comparison, and yes, I can have a look at that. And let's see.
That's super handy as a translator. You have a partner right there where you can essentially converse with your personal assistant, automated personal assistant in the chat box. That's really nice.
Yes, yes. It helps you boost your productivity, especially if you work on a very large text under very strict deadline, or if you want to quickly implement some changes. So again, it's giving me some options. It's not taking all the decisions without asking me for permissions. Yes, so on every step, the agent asks me here what I would like to do next. So yes, I want AI to extract the text from the screenshot and then compare the strings in the screenshot with the strings I have in my editor. And we can see here already that it's looking at every string from the editor and checking if it's consistent with the translation that was included in the screenshot. There's a little table here as well. So if you are more like as a visual person and you like fancy tables, you can have it here. And there's a quick summary as well. Now, I've changed a formal translation to informal with the agent. We made sure it's gender neutral. We had AI reference previously translated text for more consistency. And that's, of course, not the end of my translation. So I'm working here with my native language, so I can verify if that's correct or not, if it makes sense. So if you don't know the language, it makes sense to bring in the linguist to this workflow so you can review the text. So I can't stress this enough, how important it is to have the linguist in this workflow. The linguist should have the final say in translation. So now with this in mind, well, let's have a look at another use case. We will have a look at QA, some QA scenario that you can, where you can interact with the agent here. Yes, so this time we will have a look at another project. It will be an onboarding email for users of the new applications. And this time it will be Spanish. With this project, we'll look into QA. And again, I have a style guide there added as a reference. We'll look at it later. So first, I want to verify if the existing translation is free from QA issues. And as you can see, I'm not saying simply, please check if there are no QA issues in the text. I'm explicitly telling AI which QA issues I want to detect, right? So I want to find mistranslations or incorrect use of tone and style. So it's looking into translation matches as well, and now it's verifying all the strings. And if you only say, please check if there are no QA issues, AI may assure you that everything is fine, although it's not. So you have to be very precise. You have to mention what is it that you are looking for, or mention the key areas so that you can guide AI in the right direction. So you have to tell AI what is it that you are looking for. So here it's looking one by one at every string. This text is not very long, so this is a quick process. So the first two strings, there was no QA issue. Now we have a mistranslation here. As you can see, above was translated, below was translated as above, so that's a mistranslation here. It found some punctuation mistakes as well, such as missing a period at the end. And in the last string, it tells me there's a mix of formal and informal language. And it gives me also suggested correction. Again, there's a fancy summary table to have a better overview. And now it's asking me what I want to do next. Yes, I want to update all translations with the suggestions that the AI agent showed me here. And now all the strings in the editor will be replaced. I can see an overview before I approve. I can see how the strings will be changed. I can run the tool, and now the strings or the translation will be updated. And the AI agent confirms that translations have been updated according to the QA recommendations. We can have a quick look. For example, this was the string with mistranslation. Now it's not above, it's below, so it's a correct translation. Now, what else I can do here? I can add more context again. So suppose I didn't provide any context in my file or in my project, and I want to make sure my translation fits my target audience. So I can ask the agent to go ahead and verify if these sentences, if these strings here match my target audience, and I can explain here what my target audience is. And again, it will go ahead, it will look at every string, and it will tell me what's wrong and how I should fix it. For example, there's a mix of formal and informal tone. It gives me some suggestions on how to make this translation more idiomatic. So it tells me, yes, there's a conclusion that the translation is accurate and clear, but it is more formal and less engaging for my target audience. So we need to introduce some changes. So I will ask AI to do it. I want to update my translation so that it fits my target audience. So I don't want any formal language there. I want informal language, and I want it to be, well, user-friendly. And first we'll look at one string only. So this specific sentence we can see in the editor now. It's updating it. It was formal, now it's informal. And I will ask AI now to do the same for the remaining segments in my translation.
And obviously, in order to validate this, you look through the translations yourself, and
Of
once
course.
you're happy, you hit the save button, and
Yes.
it's essentially a done deal. It's wonderful.
Yes, yes. You have to always verify what AI suggests you here. So here I can see some recommendations of how I can make it more relevant to my target audience, and I can run the tool. It also found some QA issues, so I can look at these issues as well to check if they are not false positive, for example. There might be a spell check error, but it's a brand name, for example. So I need to check if it's not false positive, but in any case, here we have now an updated translation. It fits our target audience. So this is one example of how this segment was adapted, how the segment was changed. Now I want to add a file for the reference. So as you could see at the beginning of the project, I have the extra file there in the reference files. It was a style guide. Now I want to reference that style guide here. So I can hit that button in the chat box. I can choose the file that I'm working with. So now it's that Finora style guide. That's a fictional app, of course. And I want to verify if all translations fit the tone and style from this style guide. So now
I can't help it but notice as I'm thinking through this while you're demoing this here, this really changes the way translators can work with their translations, in my opinion, because you can actually work in layers here where you're fine tuning the translation as you go along and you keep on adding layers. Since you have this context window with the agentic AI, you're essentially having a conversation and you say, okay, it's a little formal, make it more informal.
Yes.
Here's a screenshot that gives you more context. Adjust it to this. There's a lot of. It's a conversation you're having about the target text, and you're fine tuning as you go along. That's not something I think that translators were used to doing up until now. So it's a bit of a different workflow. I think in the past maybe you would have to keep everything in context at all times in order to get it accomplished. And here you can really work in layers. Do you see it that way as well?
Yes, plus sometimes you get extra contextual information when you are in the middle of the project or once you finish the project.
Right.
You receive extra information, like you didn't, for example, you don't have information about the target audience at the beginning of the project. That happens sometimes, but you receive it at the end or during the project.
No more cussing. No more cussing. When the client sends you the most important reference file at the end of the project, we can simply adjust the translation. That's wonderful.
It's especially very handy if it's a very large text, right? You don't have to do it manually. It could be. You can use AI as your assistant to speed this process up a little bit. So here we have the summary of what of the AI fund. So these are all the issues and suggestions of how to update my translation. For example, I see now that the string complete setup, so completar configuración, could be modified to completa la configuración, right? So to make it more user-friendly, to make it more suitable to my target audience, and to make sure my text is consistent with the style guide.
You speak Spanish too, Dorota? I wasn't aware that you...
Yes, I've studied Spanish. I can still speak it, I suppose, yes, when I travel.
Mi también, mi también.
Muy bien. So now finally, with more context, with specific examples from Style Guide, we have more detailed output. Yes, we know what to fix. We fixed some strings. We adapted the translation to our preferences and to our style. So again, this feature can be very helpful on a very long text, for example. It might be that you are working on a text that has several thousand words and you reviewed it, but maybe something has slipped during the review. And to make sure you caught all inconsistencies, you can use the Agentic AI feature. It could be an extra step in your QA process, for example. And again, make sure there's always a linguist in this process. Now we can continue talking with the agent like this forever, but I want to show you one more interesting experiment that can take this agentic AI interaction to the next level, so to say.
Is that the one about the user rules that you're going to show us?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. I was hoping you would.
So one great feature that Crowdin has recently implemented are user rules and project rules when it comes to agentic AI. So I will show you what is it all about. So if you go to
there's a lot of options there too. If I could quickly pause on that for just a second, because you don't have to pick just one. You can mix and match. Maybe there's certain chatbots that are better for particular tasks. So if you want to use a different LLM for a different translation, you just can pick Mistral over ChatGPT or what have you, right?
Of course. Yes, so if you go to the settings of the Agentic AI, you can see here I have global AI providers for all projects, but I can also bring my own personal AI provider that will override the global provider. So you can choose your model here. You can also, well, I have OpenAI here, but if you go to the models section, you can choose which model you want to work with. You can work with all of them. Now we will have a look at the rules. So here you can specify the rules for your project, for the specific project. You can add rules such as a tone and style, and this you can do under project tools or the settings menu in the editor. We will have a look at the user rules. So this is a rule that will apply to all text for the specific user. To add it, you simply, I will show you how to add it later, but first we will translate a project without the rule, and then we'll go back and add the rule to see how the translation was impacted with this rule.
And
So
I'm
now
sure
I'll
you're
open.
doing that. You're doing that just for the demo here, but it's actually a really interesting way of working again. That you can do several layers here and maybe do the translation just for yourself to be able to see what the what the difference is and
Yes.
contrast it. So it's a really great way. From a linguistic perspective, I think this would really interest me too to see what the differences really are and how it adjusts, and maybe have an evaluation in my head about that as a translator, whether it's the right thing to do or not, and would be an extra way that I could work with my customer to show maybe different versions. Would be an easy way to print out some different versions and run it by the client and see which one is more preferred, especially if you work on marketing content. I would think that it would be very beneficial to show some different iterations without having to do a lot of extra legwork on them. Go ahead. I
Yeah,
was
that's
rudely
yeah.
interrupting you, but
That's an interesting use case too. So now we'll have a look at another project. This time I'm bringing you here a variety of languages, not
yeah,
to bore you with one. So this time
yeah,
it's
yeah.
German. And this is
Sprechen wir auch Deutsch, ist kein
ja,
Problem.
wir sprechen auch Deutsch, kein Problem. So now it's a mobile application. It's about finance, fictional application again. The text is not translated. We will ask AI to translate it for us, and now we have no user rules. So we didn't provide any context here. So it will just translate how it thinks it should. Well, whatever. It will just choose whatever option it thinks is the most reasonable because we have no
Right.
context, no information. And while we're waiting for the result, I just have a quick remark about AI pre-translation or AI translation. So there are cases, for example,
Yeah.
low stake and large volume content when AI pre-translation or translation is a reasonable choice. But there are other cases where you absolutely need to bring the expert linguist to the project who will translate and adapt your text for you, especially if it's high stakes content. So
Yeah.
always start with the problem and not with the feature. And if you think you
Yeah.
need AI pre-translation, maybe it's a good idea to let the linguist do the AI pre-translation to give the linguist more control so that they can then go ahead and adapt the content.
Yeah.
Now we've translated this text with Agentic AI. We can see some suggestions. This is a accurate translation, is grammatically correct. It looks good. I can go ahead and run the tool and implement this translation into my editor. And now everything is translated. Now, as I mentioned, we didn't provide any context. So AI decided to translate it in this way. It looks good, but again, it's formal. If formal language is what you want to achieve, then fine. But in my case, I want the app to be in informal tone. So what I will do, I will ask AI to remove all translations, and then I will go back to my user rules and add that rule about informal tone to make sure next time it translates it in the informal way. So I'm removing all translations now, and now with a touch of magic, all segments will disappear. Let's wait for this a bit. So I will run the tool again. AI is removing my translations now. You can see they disappear one by one. So if you don't like your manual or AI translation, you can always remove it easily. I will go back to the Agentic AI settings and I will have a look at the user role, and I will tell AI to always translate mobile apps with informal tone. You can find it under @user role, and I will name it simply informal tone. And now every time I translate a mobile app, AI will know that it has to use informal tone. So now let's go back to the file, let's go back to the editor and see how AI will translate our text. Now I'm hitting translate the strings again. And now it should look into the context. So the context was, in my case, the user role, and it should create translations that are informal. It's also looking into translation memories matches. And now I can see already that the suggested translations are informal. So there's dine, for example, right? And again, these translations look accurate, grammatically correct. I can run the tool and I will have an informal tone now. So now AI is telling me what it did. There's always a small summary. So it says now the strings are updated to informal tone. It also found some minor QA issues, which I can look into if I want. Now I can review the strings, for example, but because it's a mobile application, actually, suddenly my client tells me there are character restrictions, right? So I want to
Oh no.
make sure. I need to make sure. I need to make sure that my translation is shorter. So it has to have, let's say, a maximum 40 characters. So I'll ask
client
it.
is complaining. The client is complaining that it doesn't fit in the context window. It's you can't. The display is not working.
Yes.
Before we've all been in this situation in the localization industry, so this is a really good use case, I think, Dorota. And you're going to show us how easy it is to fix that when you're in this tool.
Yes, so I asked AI to make sure every string is maximum 40 characters long. It gives me a preview of how the strings will be changed. It looks okay. I will run the tool. Of course, some strings already were shorter than 40 characters. Others were slightly longer. So here we have a overview again. AI tells me that it shortened some strings, but it also made sure that the language is friendly and mobile appropriate. I have also some few extra notes, such as QA issues. Finally, once I update my strings to be shorter to meet my client's restrictions and requirements, I want to make sure that all CTAs in my mobile app have a consistent structure. So I'm asking AI to do it. It's verifying all call to actions in my mobile apps, such as send money, and it will tell me whether all CTAs have the same structures. So it has some results here. So it also looked into the English structure. Now here's the target German structure. So I can see that there are some consistency issues. For example, some strings
In
didn't
my
have the same.
mind, in my mind, as I see you working on this, this opens up a whole new window of opportunity to have communications with your end clients at the same time, to give feedback on the source text, things that might need to be fine-tuned and taken into account as you're working on the project together. There's a real way, I believe, for linguists to be of added value to their clients by giving feedback on a lot of things that maybe otherwise would require too much cumbersome dissection if you had to do it manually. So this is really great.
Yes, you can easily tweak your translation, especially if it's very long. So here we have a general recommendation from the agent. It tells me I should pick one style for each CTA. So if I want to continue with this use case, I can ask it to update all strings for consistency, for example. But what I want to do now, I want to show you one last thing. So while reviewing the strings, I've noticed, let's say that while reviewing the strings, I've noticed that that maybe this text is too technical for some users, and I want to make it more layman friendly. So I can ask AI to do it. So I will ask it to verify the strings and then replace any technical jargon into layman-friendly terms.
Yeah, that's a request that I've dealt with in my career a lot of times. I work a lot with disability organizations, and they often ask me to adjust the translations.
Yes. So it found some strings that could be more user-friendly. The language is now very simple, so I can go ahead and run the tool and implement all these suggestions. So now also I can see a little sum up. So AI tells me that the following German strings with technical jargon have been replaced by layman-friendly informal phrases.
What a wonderful way again here to be able to communicate this with your customer. If you want to have a dialogue about this, you could say, okay, here's what we've done to update the text, and you have a neat summary that you can copy and paste in the delivery of your work, where the customer can verify and have a say into the end product without having to do a lot of extra legwork themselves as well. You know, otherwise maybe it would take a long time for the translators to come up with something like this, and even more time for the customer to go verify. Here you have a neat report that you could paste in an email, and you could be on your way with. Go ahead, Dorota. I was rudely interrupting, but that just shot across my mind like a lightning bolt.
Yeah. So yeah, this is just a sum up of AI did for us. So it did implement some changes. And now as a linguist, I can go ahead and review the strings. So in this case, we asked AI to translate the text. It was accurate, it was grammatically correct. We just didn't like the tone because we didn't provide any context either. So once we provided the context and we added character restrictions, and we converted the text into a simpler version, our text now is more aligned with our brand message. So as in any case, in the real world scenario, don't stop here, review the text before publishing it. And well, as you can see, Agentic AI takes my user preferences into account. It looked into my user roles. It followed my requests correctly, and it changed the text in the direction I want to. And because I can understand the language, I can verify it. If it's all Greek to you, you need to bring the linguist into this workflow. So again, with Agentic AI, you have a powerful and productive assistant that can understand your context, and it can help you adapt or create your content based on your preferences.
Yeah, I think the big revelation of this series is going to be that translators can not only work a lot more efficiently, but they have an opportunity to bring added value to their customers with all the different layers that this type of workflow gives you. And I suspect, as a professional translator, when you start working with these tools, you're going to notice that there's an opportunity to do things that you weren't even contemplating before, and really help you with the relationship that you're developing with your customer. And that's always a good idea. So, Dorota, thank you so very much for showing us all these features. We're going to be doing this on a regular basis. We have a lot more in store. There's a lot more features that we want to showcase. And we're super excited about that because we really think it's going to make a big difference for linguists in the field. Thank you so very much. And we'll see you again next month.
Thank you. See you. Bye.